Gordon.
We're live. All right. Hey, Tim. How
What?
are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I waved at you. Aren't you gonna wave back?
I'll wave
What?
back.
What is that?
Yeah,
What's going on here?
that is a
Have you
bum finger on
you've
my
gotten the middle finger extension you've wanted for all these years?
yeah, on my dominant hand too. Yeah, the day after
Oh
Christmas.
no.
That's my wonderful Christmas present. So yeah, kind of sucks.
Well, that is super unfortunate. So tell us about it. What
Uh,
happened? And
an engine cover, which is like the actual metal cargo cover of the of my new to me side by side that my lovely wife
ah,
bought for me for Christmas.
that's a
Um,
good Christmas present.
Yeah, it was pretty badass. So I don't have to
Yeah.
drive the 3/4 ton Ford F-250 truck back and forth between the house and the range all the time. I actually have a little range buggy now. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean it's been well used. So couple little odds and end little runnability issues and things I was trying to sort out with it, and me and my daughter on the day after Christmas on the 26th decided to go for a joyride out along the back pasture and check things out, and it kind of developed a little bit of a like an ignition miss, and I was like, that's not good. So I limped it back to the house, and I opened up the engine compartment or the engine cover, which is like I said, the big like cargo or like bed of it, to put stuff in, and raised it up. It raised up to like 90 degrees, and I put my hand on the frame that's underneath that cargo cover, and I was just kind of looking around the engine to see if there was like, did I knock a spark plug wire off, or did a ground wire come loose or something? Just looking at the obvious stuff. And of course, you've been out to my place before. I live out in the East Mountains, so the winds are insane in the afternoons. And of course, it was about three o'clock in the afternoon, and about a 37-mile-an-hour gust blew that engine cover as I'm looking down at the engine through the wheel well. And as I got my hand sitting on the frame, I just felt this excruciating pain throb across my left hand. And I looked up, and that engine cover had slammed down on my dominant hand. And of course, those that know me, I'm left handed. So it crushed my pinky, my ring finger. Fortunately, it didn't break anything in those two. It bruised the shit out of my ring finger pretty bad. But as it crushed down across my middle finger, it gave me a multiple tuft break on my or tuft fracture on my first distal bone of my middle finger on my left hand. So I've got to have it in a splint. Can't bend the finger at all. So no shooting, no pews, no nothing like that with my left hand. So I practiced two or three times now with just weekend only. I'm pretty good with my weekend anyhow, but I can tell you right now, when you're forced to shoot just with one hand weekend only, it sucks. Especially considering this is 2025. This is supposed to be the beginning of my world shoot year. I'm trying to get everything in place to do as best I possibly can, and it's like, great, now I've got a 4 to 8 week or so setback of waiting on my finger to heal so that I can get back to dry fire and live fire shooting and training. So, and
Yeah.
in the
Well, geez, that
meantime, trying to set up probably the second best match in New Mexico, of the year. And I would maybe the best New Mexico match of the year this coming weekend, my holiday hangover pro-am that I started setting up on Monday with busted hand and all, and yeah, 8 stages and everything, and trying to do all that with like 1 1/4 hands kind of sucks, but we're getting
Well,
by.
yeah, the timing of this isn't great, but I guess it could have been worse. It could have happened the month before World Shoot or something
That
like
would have
that.
sucked. That's true. That's true.
So,
It's happened now.
so if your healing schedule is only like a month or two or whatever it might be, hey, that's not so bad. And hey, you'll probably never fear a weekend stage
That's true.
ever again
Oh,
after
that is
this. After a couple months of practicing that, I remember a couple years ago, I think Mason Lane broke his arm or something and had
yeah.
to shoot one handed.
He broke his support hand though, or a support wrist, and was kind of slinged up. And then I guess I just had a cast on it, but he was able to do reloads with it. But yeah, he shot nationals that year, strong hand only.
So
So
you're going to be the best at weak hand only from a table start without any reloads, which
oh,
is
right,
tough in single stack. But that's when that shows up in a match, you're going to own it.
it's it just
So
it just sucks
yeah,
using like my only month really off this year is January. So I was really thinking like you know what, dude, I'm ready to shoot like 1,000 rounds a week from now till the end of January, leading up to an Eric Gauffel class that I'm taking at the end of the month, which is going to be like 1,500 to 2,000 rounds. And I was so stoked to just like, man, I'm gonna get my train on really, really hard. If I shoot 6,000 rounds, 7,000 rounds this month, I would be stoked. And here we are.
So your match and Eric Garfel's class are really interesting. But before we get onto those, I just wanted to ask, so are you all that concerned really about world shoot preparation or other majors or training with this finger? How does this affect your
I
year?
mean, I am right now because like part of my preparation for 2025 was to dedicate, like I said, my entire off month of January to really really pushing speed, exploration mode, so to speak.
Sure.
And especially when I could like day in and day out go to the range and just shoot. And unfortunately, there's a little setback. So, but I mean, it, like you said, could be worse. It could have happened, August leading up to September, or could have
Right.
happened the first week of September, and then I'd be totally screwed for World Shoot. So, hopefully, we can get past this, and by the end of January or so, maybe I can start, kind of fumbling with the gun again, and like get back on track.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope it heals quickly, and it doesn't seem like you're too flustered about it. I'm sure you'll be fine for World Shoot.
I
So.
hope so. That's the goal.
All right. Well, then going in chronological order of all the different things you brought up, I think the next thing on the calendar would be your holiday hangover match. I think this would be the second annual holiday hangover match,
It is.
which is tomorrow.
It's
So what's the deal with all that? It's kind of different than a normal match, but as you said, it might be the best or the second best match in New Mexico. So
so
let's justify that.
this kind of started out just kind of as an idea. When I initially built my range, I had 3 bays, and I was just looking for ways to get people, especially here in New Mexico, like another match that they could shoot. My wife and I had kind of talked about it for God a number of months leading up to, like it would be fun to do like a themed match, or a match with like a specific rule set that's different than like a traditional USPSA or IPSC or IDPA match. And like we talked about all sorts of things, like doing a theme, so like maybe doing like a quarterly match that might have to do with some particular theme, like whether it be a movie theme or like a seasonal theme or something. And not only just a seasonal or movie theme, but also kind of theming the match around something different too. So we kind of tossed around the ideas of things like a mulligan match, which I'm still would love to do. Like a mulligan match would be like when like it'd be 5 or 6 stages, and at the end of whatever stage, like you get to choose one stage that you get a mulligan on, but you have to then determine right then and there, like, okay, yep, I screwed this stage run up, I want a mulligan. And you don't get the score for that stage at all, and you have to shoot it again. For better or worse, that is then your stage. So
So
we
everybody gets one.
everybody
Everybody gets
gets
one.
one. Then we've talked about doing a reverse mulligan match, which I thought would be pretty cool, in that your opponents get 45 minutes or something like that, kind of like an arbitration period during scores, to determine the person that's like winning the match overall, like in their division. The other competitors can vote to either throw out or make you reshoot one of your stages again, or to throw out your best stage. So everybody gets an opportunity to kind of like, excuse me for saying, but like screw your buddy. Like, oh, Josh got a 12 point something hit factor on that, and I only had a 9.2. Yep. Well, like everybody votes, Josh has got to throw out his highest. So I mean, like we've thought about doing all
So,
sorts
so,
of just
so do you have
fun.
to just do like time plus scoring for that, or do all the stages have to be the same number of points if it's hit
Just have
factor?
the same
Okay.
number of points. Yep, in order to
Okay.
do that. So, which is not a big deal. But
No.
another idea that I had kind of, you know, like stewing around for a long time was kind of bringing back the old style pro-am format, but with the twist. So the pro-am format is kind of what it became. And so anybody familiar or not familiar with pro-am was a falling steel only match. So generally you need a range that's got, 300 and some odd pieces of steel. And you generally, like, every stage is all steel. And some stages are like stand and shoot, like run to a box and shoot a color coordinated, the color coordinated steel to that colored box, and then go to another colored box to shoot the other steel, and things like that. Well, in Pro-Am, they would do it for a purse. So every stage had, say, $500 or $1,000 attached to it, and the winner of that stage took the prize money. In the event of a two-way or three-way tie, if there was a tie on that stage at all, then the prize money got shifted to another stage, and then you shot the next stage until you determined a winner. So, I mean, there was some serious prize money at stake there. But for an all falling steel match, which is kind of hard to do, most clubs don't have, 200 to 300 pieces of steel. So an idea was kind of brought to my attention years ago. I used to shoot back when I lived in Missouri. There was a cool, um, like a, gosh, it was like for a foundation, right? So like all proceeds went to, um, like some adoption agency, or they went to some sort of a charity, right? And it was a charity match they did in the summertime. And one of the formats for that charity match one year was a pro-am where they utilized paper targets and steel targets. And the paper targets all still scored 1 point, just like falling steel does. But the paper targets were very much like three gun, where it was two hits anywhere on cardboard scored 1 point, or one alpha on that cardboard also neutralized that target and scored the 1 point. So it kind of, like, it threw a little bit of, you know, like complexity in with your stages. Um,
Yeah.
because like
Trading time and risk for going for one shot, or are you going to go for two, or what's the yeah.
So, but everybody had, they got to shoot their divisions. So I decided to kind of take a little bit of that and turn that into a pro-am format that worked for just about everybody. So the way I built the pro-am format now is you've got pro for professional and you've got am for amateur, right? Pro-am. Pros are limited to 10 rounds in every 10 round capacity. So 10 plus one in the gun. Amateurs get 15 rounds plus one, so plus one in the gun. So amateurs, and so instead of having to change the par times, because every stage is a fixed time, and it's collect as many points as you can within the fixed time. Pros, obviously, instead of adjusting the fixed time for pro versus amateur, pros just have to do a little bit more gun handling, or be a little more decisive on how they approach the stage with only 10
And
rounds.
they're gonna be more pushed to go for single shots on certain stages to
Correct.
save a reload. Yeah.
Correct. But other than that, there are no other rules, right? So pro itself, if you came with an open gun or you came with a PCC or anything else, like, the only limitation is you got 10 rounds in the gun. So iron sights, optics, compensators, whatever the case may be, it's pretty well run what you brung. And it's totally up to you. If the shooter wants to shoot from appendix, they can. If they want to shoot from outside the waistband, they can. And like I said, the only delineating factor between the two is amateurs get to start with 15 rounds in the gun. Pros have to only get a 10 round capacity. So it equals the playing field, despite your selection of gun choice. So I mean, a lot of guys are like, well, that's not fair. Guys with optics are definitely going to do better than guys with irons. You might think that, but the overall pro winner last year was our very own Ross Haney, who won Pro Division shooting his 9mm 10 round capacity limited irons gun with iron sights. So,
Yeah. Yeah, well, like you said, it's very three gun style. So that moving and shooting, making sure you get at least one alpha, that's totally three gun. So it's kind of cool. Like, it is a cool tweak on a normal match.
yep.
And then the 10 round capacity for the pros or whatever, since that's
Right.
defined by their USPSA or IDPA classification, that kind
Correct.
of makes the par times work better for the more skilled people and maybe the newer people as well.
It
And
absolutely
so,
does. Newer
yeah,
people get an opportunity to score a
yeah,
few more points and not have to do as much gun handling as, say, the pros, where, if you want to score maximum number of points, you're going to have to be good at everything from
yeah.
drawing and reloading and reacquiring the sights after the reload, all that good stuff.
And I checked the weather for tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm happy to be in pro and having to do more gun handling because it looks pretty cold and pretty windy. But
So
don't worry, I'll stay away from engine covers,
yeah.
so
So
I'll be okay.
the match is on
Yeah,
Sunday, the January
yeah,
5th. So, but yeah, I mean, we're I'm pretty well. set up with everything. I've got, as match director, I've got all the timers pretty well, or all the
Yeah.
timers charged up. I've got all the tablets charged up. I've got the stages and everything built. The only thing I have got left to do tomorrow is to determine the the par times for each of the stages. So last year we did 8 stages, even though I only had like 3 bays. So we did like a desert run along the backside of my range, which was pretty neat. But we were kind of limited in space to be, and the number of entrants or people registered to shoot the match to 45. So it was 3 squads of 15 each. This year I was able to open up squatting for 4 squads, and we are at max capacity. We've got 60 competitors. So, like I said, this will be I think, the second largest match in New Mexico, with the first one probably being our sectional match, which will be in September out at Legacy Ranch, which we talked about on a previous episode. But
I
yeah,
think the IDPA match that they do, the
last
Desert
year it was
Scorch or whatever, is actually pretty big. But yeah,
very well received.
yeah,
We had 45 entrants. I had a full house then too. It was cold and it was windy last year, and we did like a potluck lunch afterwards. So, which was really cool. This year, I went kind of forewent the potluck lunch, so we're not doing food or anything here. I think a few people are going to bring coffee. So there'll be like carafes of
that's a
coffee
good
out
idea.
there. We're going to do some like finger foods or snacks or things like that in the morning. But I, like I said, we forewent the potluck afterwards. So we'll do trophy presentation and breaking down the stages and everything. And we're leaving one of the stages up, which is an all steel stage. And we're going to open up for a cash buy-in for a man versus man, or whatever you want to call it, steel shoot off. So we'll do a single elimination, best 2 out of 3 steel shoot off for cash prizes at the end of the match too. So
That's pretty cool.
and
Well,
just
in the spirit of doing different kinds of matches and stuff like that, let's just do a duel. Let's just duel.
yeah.
Winner, last man standing.
So it was really cool. Like I've been kind of pushing this, and kind of planning it throughout the year. Like I said, last year it was great. A lot of folks didn't understand the format, but they came out, obviously came out to wanted to shoot the match anyway. As soon as they got 2 or 3 stages in, it was great to have everybody's reaction was like, bro, this is epic. Like I never thought shooting a match could be this fun. The stages were pretty simple, and they are again this year too. It's not like USPSA matches.
They're part-time stages. Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
the stages need to be pretty straightforward because you only get 3 to 4 minutes for your walkthrough. But it's like the stage plans become more about where do I really attack the stage to get the most points I possibly can in the amount of time I've got available. So it's really cool to listen in. I don't shoot this match, so I guess get to play match director and listen in, and it's really cool to listen in to how people like squads as they walk the stage, thinking about like, no, 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 we got to go here first because there's more points available for position A than there is position C, and it's cool to see how people break down stages based on trying to collect the most points. So it adds a completely different flavor and twist to an otherwise kind of standard practical shooting type of challenge.
You have to approach these somewhat simple stages a little bit different than you would in USPSA. So it is definitely a twist, and it's interesting.
So
So
last
so if you
year,
come out and if you come out and you're a winter warrior and you do really well in your pro or amateur division, what do you get
so
besides? Yeah,
it started out as a trophy only match, right? So last year I did these really custom resin trophies, had a custom logo and stuff on them to commemorate the first match ever, and they were
yeah,
very well received. So I did a huge range expansion over December of my range and doubled its size. So I went from 3 bays to 6 bays, and you would think like, okay, great, 6 bays, but there are 6 enormous bays now. So I've got one bay that's 60 yards wide and 40 yards deep. I've got 2 other that are well over 30 yards wide and 25 yards deep. So we've got 8 full stages planned with 4 squads. Because of that, I wasn't for sure how well or how quickly I was going to be able to kick off the match, and try to get everything in order to really to give everybody a sweet match. But yeah, we ended up I ordered some really cool like IPSC inspired trophies. So there's first through third for pro division, and then first through fifth for amateur division, which is
Wow, look at that.
pretty cool. So, and then top pro and top amateur. Not only do you get one of these cool, humongous trophies, but you'll also be walking away with a prize. There'll be some swag in there, as well as a kind of a prize pack from Outdoor Dynamics, who was so gracious to send me a couple hundred rounds of ammunition. So there'll be some ammo there that's up for grabs for the top positions, and then all other prizes. I've got probably about $3,700 to $3,800 worth of prizes. They've all been
Holy cow.
by my
Wow.
sponsors in support of the match, and all of those prizes are going to be all random draw. And that random draw, I thought about doing cool number generators or things like that, and instead I'm going to go squad to squad, and it's all going to be like draw from playing cards. So I've got a prize matrix. So every squad, this is all four squads. I've got four different optics from HoloSun Optics. I've got Hunter's HD Gold certificates. I've got Red Hill Tactical holster certificates. I've got $100 gift certificates from Howitzer Clothing. There's 3 or 4 certificates for free massage therapy sessions from one of our local competitors there.
That must be poi.
Yeah, Poi
Yep.
ponied up those. And then there's a pretty significant cash prize beyond just the cash pool of money for the steel shoot off. So last man standing in the steel shoot off, there's an additional $150 cash prize, as well as a Shooters Global timer available for the absolute top dog in the man versus man or person versus person steel shoot off
Yeah.
match as well.
Those are pretty sweet timers. It seems like they have a lot of features that make a lot of sense for training. So
Yep.
that's
So,
awesome.
and the great thing was I didn't really have to do much, like as far as like lifting a finger and making phone calls. I just had a couple of people actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey, what can we do to support this match you've got going on out here in your range in New Mexico?" And I was like, I don't know. This has always been just a trophy only match. And they were like, well, not this year. Like, here's some prizes, give them away as you see fit. So everything is going back to the community. Like I said, we've got 60 shooters. We've got shooters from Utah, shooters from Colorado, Texas, Arizona, California. And then, of course, the main contingent is all from, I think, every corner of New Mexico coming out to this match this weekend to shoot it. So I'm freaking stoked. It's going to be a good time.
Well, I'm super excited. I think it's awesome that it's grown so much already in just 1 year, and that
Just in a year,
sponsors
yeah.
and the sponsors really showed up. That's super cool.
So next year,
Just
I think
to
my
offer
goal is
all
going
that
to be
up.
to try to double it again. So we've almost doubled it this year. I'd say almost double. We went from 45 to 60. So I'm at my max capacity. My goal for next year is I'd like to possibly break 100. So and like I said, try to make this a premier event to not miss. So and then depending on how this match goes, I have one free weekend in October, and I'm already toying with the idea, depending on the success of this match again, of doing kind of a masters match, which would be like pretty difficult stages, and it'd probably be 8 to 10 stages with hopefully 8 squads, and doing kind of like a masters championship in October here. So
And would that be a hit factor match?
it would be a hit
Or
factor match, yeah.
okay, yeah, interesting. And so, how do you get into a Masters match? Invitation only.
I thought about doing an invite. I think for this first year, we'll probably open it to come one, come all, and just an open registration and see who's interested in it. And then I think maybe then from then on, depending on its success, possibly turning it into like an invitation match, and maybe making it an invitation match that's like nationwide. So
Very cool.
which would be pretty.
Yeah, well, October is beautiful in New Mexico. Just don't do Balloon Fiesta weekend,
Yeah,
or maybe do. I don't know. Whatever you want. Well, sweet. Yeah, that's. I'm pumped. I'm gonna put on my warmest little clothes and come out and blast with you guys on
So
Sunday.
we were looking
So,
at the temperatures, and I think for Sunday we're at like a high right now of 45 degrees, and knock on wood, low winds. So which would be
Oh, that's
nice.
that's different than what I've seen. So that would be amazing.
Well, tomorrow is supposed to be the highest winds. So, which
We're
fortunately,
recording on Friday in case there's any confusion. So
so fortunately for Saturday, even if it's high winds, if I can at least get, like staple up targets, and like I said, I'm going to shoot through the stages as best I can with a bum hand to try to make a determination on the par times. Last year, I thought my part times I determined were pretty good. I think you and Ross and a couple of other shooters, I think, cleaned two or three of the eight stages that we had. I'm trying to set the par times now just difficult enough that I don't want, like, I mean, not that I don't want somebody to be able to clean the stage, but I
but
kind of
it would be a feat. It would
yeah,
be a
I
feat.
want I want a like if you clean the
Yeah.
stage, you are a god amongst mortals. So I'm gonna set them pretty spicy. But again, the points collection is going to be pretty good. There's a couple of short stages. Most every stage is going to have someplace between 16 to 25 points available on every
That's
stage. So
that's super cool. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Uh, did you want to talk a little bit about this Eric Gauffel class?
oh
Not many
man,
people get to take a class with Eric Gauffel, so I'm
so
sure folks would be interested in
yeah,
that.
very fortunate. I was invited last year and unfortunately wasn't able to make it. But Eric Gauffel comes to the United States just a couple of times a year. I think actually last year, yeah, he just twice. He came for Carry Optics Nationals and he came for the U.S. Extreme Open, which is in Volusia, Florida, which is a 30 stage match. And the week prior to that match, Eric comes and teaches like two-day courses in Ruskin, Florida. And last year, like I said, I just missed out on it, but was very fortunate to kind of get to shoot the U.S. Extreme with him or alongside of him. So this year, I reached out to the guy that was hosting and hosting Eric again at Ruskin for the classes. And I said, please don't forget about me. I want to come shoot no matter what. I want to be part of that class. And I got the last available slot there was for his second 2 day class there. It's going to be
Fantastic.
the end of January. So to get to train with the winningest, shooter to probably ever walk the earth, and kind of really get to pick his brain over 2 days and shoot 15 to 1800 rounds over 2 days time is I'm pretty excited. I'm a little bummed that I'm kind of broken right now, but I'm hoping I'm healed up enough by then to really get to be a sponge and absorb everything I possibly can from that from
With
the
with
class.
enough morphine, and all things are possible.
Exactly.
So, so is it like is he teaching just instructors at this class, or is it open to basically anybody? Or okay,
It was open to just about anybody. I think this is his third year coming to teach there. As long as the U.S. Extreme has been happening and he's been coming in. But the first year, I think it was kind of like you had to like somebody had to know somebody that knew somebody that could pull a string to get in. Last year they opened it pretty well, like open registration, and the class is filled in like I don't know 15 minutes or something like that. Um, like I said, I got invited only because there was a last minute opening, and unfortunately, I just couldn't make my schedule sync up with it. So this year, like I said, I reached out to the host and was like, "Hey, don't forget about me. And if there is a slot open, I'll take it at regardless of cost." So and yeah, he was able to get me in. So the class I'm in, I believe, is all returning students. So I don't know how advanced that's going to be. I might be the guy slowing everybody down. I hope not, but
I would be surprised if that were the case. But
no,
in any case, it's an awesome opportunity.
definitely.
And do you have any expectations about what the class is going to be like, or what you think you might learn, or what Eric might say, or I don't know? It's because he kind of, and the Europeans in general seem to have kind of a different approach in some ways
Yeah,
than a
I
lot
mean,
of
I
the.
I do know for sure, um, just because I've spoken with Eric at length about different things. Like I said, we spent 3 days time kind of together, back and forth in squads, talking about points collection and hit factor math and things like that, which was kind of like a a pretty awesome crash course, into like his science of things, the way he thinks about things. I've got some good friends that actually took the class last year that are going to be back and taking it with me again this year. That gave me, kind of a lot of his take. There's going to be a lot of shooting, a lot of movers and activators, um, very, very high round count drills. So instead of like shooting a 6 or 10 round drill or exercise, it's like a 45 to 50 round drill or exercise where like you shoot it like front to back to front, left to right, right to left, and then turn around and do it all over again, but a completely different sequence the next time through. So he's real big on like super, super heavy round, really comprehensive, you know, uh, type of drills and exercises and things. So like things like activating a swinger and then revisiting that swinging target like 6 or 7 times in a single in a single run on a drill.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of people who follow him on Instagram have seen those insane sequences he'll shoot, where it's like 18 targets. He goes through 3 mags and shoots a swinger 12 times, and it's all alphas and stuff like that. So I
So
expect that from you when you get back.
but yeah, you're right. I expect that for me too.
Yeah.
So, I might, like I said, I might be the guy kind of on the slow end of things. I'm hoping the injury doesn't slow me down, but I'm also going to be taking the class shooting iron sight classic division, right? So,
Yeah.
round gun, with iron sights versus everybody else shooting, limited optics or carry optics. But I want, I want the time behind the gun and the training behind the gun that I plan on, competing at with World Shoot. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a good way to start the beginning of the year of prep for World Shoot to have a class with one of the best in the world. So
So
that's
I'm
pretty
really
awesome.
interested, like I'm really excited to get his take wholeheartedly, and not like the Cliff's Note version because we're shooting a match together, but like the full in-depth kind of hit factor science. Like I think I've got a pretty good grasp on those kind of things, and I teach a lot of the same thing, but it's always one of those things where somebody's like, yeah, that sounds like something that Eric has said before, and I'm like, yeah, it might be, but to be able to hear that firsthand from the guy that really knows all of the math and science behind hit factor scoring and where your where your preponderance should lie, like what like where your attention should be on a stage. Is this a do you prioritize speed, or what kind of points prioritization do you have? And it'd be for me, it's I'm extremely interested to get like I'm just going to absorb all that like a sponge. I'm going to bring a full steno pad, brand new, and I plan on filling it to the brim with with takeaways and notes for not only my own training, but then to be able to hopefully impart that knowledge on to my students throughout the year as well.
So based on what it sounds like the level of the classes being all returning students, there's probably not going to be a lot of fundamentals. It sounds like you expect a lot of stagecraft to be discussed. Do you think he's going to go into matchcraft at all? Because he's very calculated about how he approaches a match and very controlled as
Yeah, I
well.
think so.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
believe so. Which I'm like I said, I'm kind of excited about. I think the other thing about that too is not only I'm hoping will it make me a better competitor and a much more informed competitor, but also give me some ideas and information to become an even better match director and match and stage designer as well. To kind of look at like these are ways that shooters like to be challenged, or these are the ways that maybe stage designers challenge shooters. How can I take that kind of stuff back to build more interesting stages and and things like that as well too, or more balance to a match.
Awesome. Well, it'll be great to catch up after you take this class and hear, kind of what your opinion was, what you felt you got out of it. You
Yeah,
don't have to give away any secrets,
yeah, no,
but
I'm really excited. I haven't been this excited in a long time to take a class with it. I mean, I'm always excited to take a class, but I'm to get kind of almost a once in a lifetime opportunity to train with the world's greatest shooter. I'm not taking this lightly. I want to take as much away from this as I possibly can. So
that's fantastic. And so that'll take us to the end of January. And then on from there, hopefully your finger is just about healed. What's your first match of the year, your major match?
I really don't know what my first match of the year might be.
Well,
If
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stump you.
IPSC Nationals isn't going to be
Yeah.
until I think June or July.
Oh, wow. So
No,
you've likely got some time then
so
to heal.
Handgun Nationals, I
Yeah.
believe, is in June or July, one of those two. So it's like Handgun Nationals, then IPSC Nationals, and then World Shoot. So
Okay.
I'm sure there's going to be some sectional or area matches that I'll be kind of sneaking in there ahead of time too. Um, I was actually going to schedule myself to shoot the Florida the the Extreme Open again, which is an IPSC 30 stage match, but it's the weekend following the 2 days that I'm going to be spending, with Eric already, and I just
And that's probably going to be stressing the old finger
right.
anyway.
And
So
so I kind of looked at that too. Like I had a great time at that match last year, but I kind of looked at it from the standpoint of like, I think I would much rather take my resources instead of wrapping it into a match so soon after that class to take the things that I've learned from that class and spend the weekend at home. Hopefully, kind of, if I need to nurse the hand back to health, I can. But if not, like really being able to apply concepts and things that I've learned in that class, like in my own practice here at home. So there may not be as many major matches for me to shoot this year. I think a lot of it's going to be for me is going to be range management of my own facility here, and because I've got such a great facility now, probably spending as much time on weekends that I have available, spending as much time as possible, like maybe setting up my own stages and shooting through and practicing hardcore. I think I'd much rather I think I'd much rather refine my time to those types of things. I think it to me it would be a higher prioritization than just traveling all over and just shooting matches on top of a pretty deep teaching schedule this year.
more of a skill building year to the extent you can to get ready for World Shoot
Exactly.
amidst all the training stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm taking a similar approach this year. I traveled and shot quite a bit of matches for me, just for an amateur hobbyist guy. But I didn't actually end up practicing all that much last year, to be honest. And so I'm really trying to turn a new leaf here in 2025. And late December, and then even only 3 days into the year, I've put down a lot more practice live and dry fire than I have last year. And I've started tracking my progress just with my own benchmark. I've just been tracking accelerator. So I'll shoot accelerator a few times each time I go out and practice. And I'm just trying to watch how my points, time, and hit factor all trend over time. And I'm starting to see progress already. So it's I kind of like that approach to actually see it on paper
Excellent.
and see if yeah.
Excellent.
So yep. And of
So
course, there's a classifier match on Saturday, which is tomorrow for us here on Friday, and I'm going to shoot that at the city range. Then your match on Sunday, and then it'll be my match up at Del Norte on what it'll be January the 11th. I think our first
January
Del
11th.
Norte
I
USPSC
may be able to make
coming out to all of
that
those if you
match.
can.
I
I think
think
Tim's is full, but yeah.
so. The 11th. No, dang it, I can't. I've got a flight out because I've got a private class I'm teaching in Illinois on the 12th and 13th of January. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to make your match. And I was hoping to kind of make the
I
classifier
see
match
how it is.
at City Range tomorrow. But considering, kind of weather and everything else we've had this week, trying to get the match, my match all situated and set up, I thought, it's probably easier if I just did not shoot the City Range match so that I could focus all my efforts on absolutely making this match like
and
a
and
match for the year.
again, with your finger, it's probably good to just let it chill as much as
Yeah,
you can
I mean,
for
like
at
we're
least
really
a
shooting
couple weeks.
although the only thing about classifier matches, generally they're shorter strings of fire, which is great, but they generally include reloads and things. And like, I wouldn't mind the transfer to shooting weekend only, but then trying to do reloads with a bum hand is probably not. It wouldn't be fun. It'd be frustrating. So
There's some strong hand only too, so I don't know how that goes with
yeah,
the. Yeah.
so never
So
mind.
what do you have to gain? You're already a GM in at least. Well, how many divisions are you a GM in?
4 divisions.
Couple, right?
Yep.
4 divisions.
Mhm.
All right.
So
So you just be doing something for the morning, basically.
yeah, I was just looking at just like it's fun,
Yeah.
get some rounds down range, stuff like that. Kind of get people amped up for the match, for my match on Sunday too. But yeah, no, I'm very fortunate. Like I said, Tim Proctor's going to come out and run the timer for me. we'll get everything pretty well set up. The only thing that we'll have left to do on Sunday will just be staple targets up so that I don't have to worry about wind blowing anything down overnight on Saturday night. So we'll get everything pretty well stapled up. Registration will open at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, and then first shots fired hopefully by 8:45 to 9 o'clock, and it'll be
And we'll get
awesome.
out of there early, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. So starting off the year with a lot of fun shooting, the holiday hangover. I'm glad we have this new tradition. I hope to see it continuing. This possible October Masters match, that sounds really fun. So thank you for putting on all this cool stuff right around the corner from Albuquerque.
Oh
It's
man, it's my
awesome to
pleasure.
see.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
And I think we've talked about this before, but now Legacy Ranch is open again. I think we definitely talked
Doing a
about this.
phenomenal.
Jeremy might do the sectional there. It's just, there's so much going on shooting wise right now in Albuquerque and New Mexico in general that it's great.
Yeah, I mean we've got what now? Two matches at the city range. We've got the Del Norte range. Your match at Del Norte. We've got Legacy Ranch has got a USPSA match. So there's at least just within an hour's drive, kind of round trip on everything. We've got 4 USPSA matches a month that you can shoot. I know Parker's also doing PCSL 2-gun matches there too, and he's doing one of those.
At Legacy, yeah.
There's obviously Del Norte's got IDPA monthly match there too. Las Lunas has got IDPA matches too. When I'm home, I plan on hosting kind of like impromptu matches at my range as well. So if I can get 4 or 5 matches a year, at my place out here as well too, and generally because like my schedule is so limiting to when I can do matches here. My hopes are when I do matches here to like put in my all. So instead of it just kind of being like an impromptu, like, hey, come on out and help me set up, 5 or 6 stages or whatever. We'll see what it does. Like
It'll be a real production.
yeah, for me, it's like I want national style stages. I want things you typically only see at like level 2 and level 3 matches. Like heavy IPSC inspiration, heavy, nationals USPSA inspired stages. Like good shooting challenges and things. So I try to really pour on the, kind of the, I don't want to say just the difficulty, but the challenge itself of like really good matches when I'm here. But yeah, again, it's if I get to do that 4 or 5 times a year, so be it. So
Yeah, well, that's a lot with everything else that's going on with you. So
yeah,
all right, Tim. Well, we covered a lot of ground tonight. It was great to catch up. And I think we'll need to sync up again soon after the holiday hangover match.
yes,
Um,
I've got some
and
time
then
next week, so we can. That'd be great to kind of follow up after the hangover match.
it's a date.
Sweet.
So, so that sounds good. And then after that, everybody I'm sure is really interested in hearing about how the Eric Gauffel class goes. So the hits keep coming.
There will be a huge review on that for sure.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks again.
Dude, Josh, thanks. I will look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Oh, yep. You as well. Sorry, it lagged for a second.
Oh, that's
but
right.
I'll let you go back to playing with your life-size chess set behind you there. So. All right.
All right,
See
I'll
ya.
see you this weekend.